Furi, a free game with PSN in July 2016, is a game centered around boss fights. Now usually I'd illustrate what I'm saying with footage from the game, but this game is so fast I probably cannot do that very well. So, for this video, I'll show you the first fight on the hardest mode, where the boss is more aggressive, faster, and harder to kill. Great! Anyway, let's talk about this game in 500 words or less. Remember, the intro and the outro do not count. Stay tuned at the end for bloopers, which shows how well I can speak into a microphone. Furi is the story of a man, let's call him the Stranger, who has to fight a multitude of bosses to escape a prison. Your only guide is a man in a bunny costume. His name is The Voice, who gives a little backstory into upcoming bosses. The combat is very fast-paced, focusing on you using your reflexes and wits to survive. The game responds to every button press with no input lag, although there are times it feels like the game doesn't register your commands, which can get you killed. You're given a very basic amount of attacks. A standard sword attack which can charge, a gun which can charge or be fired rapidly, and a parry which restores a small amount of health. The game, as mentioned, is about facing bosses, with each one being different and fighting differently. This makes every fight feel unique. Each fight is split into different segments, illustrated by the tiny squares under a health bar, which you need to deplete. If a square is depleted, the boss loses health and gains new attacks. If you lose a bar, the segment will be restarted. Before every fight, the protagonist will walk along a long path, listen to a monologue by your guide, the man in a bunny costume, or the Voice as some people call him. These walking segments are long but offer a brief respite, and work in a way that don't feel too distracting. I love this game, loving the speed in which it plays and the satisfaction of overcoming a difficult boss. It's not a particularly long game, but it is challenging. If you fail on a fight, you do need to redo the segment again, which is the worst feature of this game, as some segments can take several minutes to do. This is more noticeable when the boss is near death, as they resort to bullet hells, which are long, tedious, and frustrating at times. There isn't much story to the game, but there is one beyond the who will escape the prison, and one I personally didn't see coming. It's nothing groundbreaking, but then again, that isn't the point of the game. The music is intense, and I believe each boss's soundtrack is directed by a different musician, and each soundtrack fits the boss well. I have to admit, however, you probably won't notice it because you'll be focused on the fight at hand. The graphics are very reminiscent of Afro Samurai. That's because the people who made that game made this game, so that explains the wavy hair of the characters. People may find this game challenging, but I encourage you not to be deterred, as it's a challenge worth overcoming. The sense of accomplishment is worth the trouble. So, there we have the review. If you're not some weird guy in the future watching this video on an alien planet and you're still in July, I recommend downloading it if you have PSN because it's free. If not, maybe give it a go if this is your kind of game. And now, onto the bloopers. But before I do you have an idea for a future episode of 500 words or less? You should suggest one to me. It can be on anything video game related. It doesn't need to be a video game review. And hey, since I am 7 quintillion years from surpassing PewDiePie's sub count, I'll even feature your name in the video or something, so what are you waiting for? On to the bloopers. Anyway, let's talk about this game in 500 words or less. Remember, the intro and the outro do not count. Stay tuned at the end for bloopers, where it shows how well I can speak into a microphone. The irony in that one. Let's try again. My nose is a little itchy, actually. And now, on to the blooper. The blooper. I can't even write it correctly. I can't, no. Alright. Bloopers, thank you. And now, on to the bloopers. But before I do you have an idea for a future episode of 500 words or less? You should suggest one to me. It can be on anything, video. Fuck. And now, on to the bloopers. But before I do Do you have an idea for a future? Fuck. You're given a very basic amount of attacks. A standard sword attack, which can charge. A gun, which could be... Fuck. You're given a very basic... What the fuck? Why is that one word? You're given a very basic amount of attacks. A standard sword attack, which can charge. A gun, which can be charged or fired rapidly. And a parry, which restores a small amount of stamina. It's health. What the fuck? It says health on the screen, you twit. You're given a very basic amount of attacks. Fuck. The game, as mentioned, is about fighting Fuck. It says facing. There isn't much story to the game, but there is one beyond the who will escape the prison, and one fuck. Let's do that again. There isn't much story to this game, but there is one beyond the who will escape the prison, and one Why is there a fucking bird on my window? What the fuck are you doing? Yeah, you better fuck off. Try and do a video. There isn't much story to this game, but there is one beyond the who will escape the prison, and one I personally didn't see coming. Did he seriously come back with his fucking friend? There isn't much story to the game, but there is one beyond the who will escape the prison, and one I personally didn't see coming. It's nothing groundbreaking, but then again, that isn't the point of the game. The music is ow, my finger. Ow. Hit my finger on the keyboard. The music is intense, and I believe each boss's soundtrack is directed by a different musician. I have to admit, however, you probably won't notice it because you'll be focusing on the fight at hand. That doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever. The graphics are the graphics are very reminiscent of Afro Samurai. That's because the people who made this game made... What? Why have I got this twice? Yeah. Hey everybody, thanks for watching that video I just did. If you want to help out the channel, click that subscribe button up there. It does this. Oh, interesting. And maybe you might want to give me a thumbs up. That's cool. And don't forget to check out my social media, such as Twitter, Tumblr, or Facebook. I post on them sometimes, and people like it. And if you want to go the extra step, you can share this video, which will help me greatly.